Holmes, Chase running out of real estate, throws, incomplete, and Tampa Bay makes another stop.
But what a job Tom Brady and this Buccaneers team's done.
Look at this. Going for a long ball over the head of Brown. Only got one out of Arizona. All he did is win a couple of Coach of the Year awards. Players love playing for him.
This year we watched Brady get blown out a couple times. That's so rare. I mean, for great quarterbacks, because eventually you figure out what the defense is doing. Oh, yeah. Him and Bieniemy both. Next year, they should be head coaches.
On 4th and 3, they complete it.
He did that this year, and this culture has changed forever.
Here comes Mahomes. Trying to find the end zone.
Oh, the finishing touches on a total dud of a Super Bowl Tom Brady 7 title. The Chiefs get destroyed, and we bring in the king of the world with his new pipe and drape, and Dolphins jersey, Lawton Lutz. What's up? Welcome to the task force.
Oh, happy to be here, sir.
Hey, you're one of the great peeps. It's our great Super Bowl hangover show where we get to be depressed that football's not back for 6 months. No XFL. I was talking to a friend on an earlier show, my handicapping show that I did earlier this afternoon, my man Seal, and he's like, the XFL, if they play, they probably would play with COVID. I'm like, yeah, they might play with COVID, but they wouldn't be allowed to. Like, I could totally see the XFL players if they had it this year. You're like, I don't care about COVID. We'll play. But Lawton, that was just a terrible game. I know that you were in a movie. You saw like the Croods 5. Didn't even watch it. By the way, there is still some accounting going on for our prop battle. Unfortunately, I was so focused on the game and other things. And by the way, that pick at the end, I took the Chiefs live late in the game plus 20.5. The fact that I got Kansas City plus 20.5, and then he throws a pick on the final, play for the Chiefs offense. But I got to double check what the first play of the game was and the Gatorade, and it looks like Lawton, you and I might tie. Wow. Our props, I apologize, the props battle will be posted soon, along with my Get That Stonk AMC gift card. AMC down a lot, but I'm really into MFT crypto and the Score mobile app. Get it if you want to. Very little risk. Throw whatever you can. Do it. And I know, Lawton, you're very high on Ethereum. We're doing a crypto show on the Task Force soon, which you're going to be a part of. So very excited. But you look great with your new pipe and drape, and camera, and show everyone the Blue Yeti mic.
Oh, yeah. So we've upgraded some items in the studio. We've got the Blue Yeti mic, which is a serious upgrade. But we have some ring lights in front of me. In the back, we've got some pipe and drape, some curtains, basically. Obviously, Dan is part of our Hey, That's Easy show as well. It's a variety show I host. And so we're making some investments so that can affect not only the task force when I'm on, but also Hey, That's Easy and future endeavors. So it's all good.
And you also know it can occasionally affect The Rock. So, by the way, the show about his life is coming up on NBC. It looks great. I'm really excited about that.
And I should tell you that this isn't any ordinary Dolphins jersey. Now that you brought up The Rock, this is a Spencer Strassmore.
Oh, no way. I didn't know you had that.
As Dolphin fans are real big fans of our fictional characters, our Ray Finkles, our Spencer Strassmores, our Ricky Jarrett's of the world. We're always big fans. So,
by the way, you just kind of pulled the curtain back. The Wizards behind there, so just make sure people know that there's not anything really shady going on. No, but Lawton, the game was terrible. I was completely wrong. I'd won 15-19 Super Bowls against the spread, and I could not have been more wrong about this. I wish I would have taken the prop. I think it was like 40-1 that Kansas City would score a single touchdown. It was ridiculous. It was, and listen. Yeah. Credit to Drunk Brady, credit to the defensive line of the Buccaneers and Todd Bowles, the former Jets head coach. Some guys like Marty Mornhinweg and Jim Schwartz and others are just better coordinators, Matt Patricia, than they are as head coaches. The defensive game plan was amazing. I really thought that the offensive line issues with no Fisher and a banged-up Chiefs offensive line would not be as big of a deal as it was. It was. Mahomes didn't look good. I know he's having the surgery on the turf toe soon, so hopefully he'll get well. But it's just one of these things where you don't take anything away from the Bucs, anything away from Brady. They were incredible. Brady wasn't like wowing, which he usually isn't at Super Bowls, but he's always great. He's always just exactly what they need. did turn the ball over, almost got a pick, but there was a ton of flags over and over again, seemingly on Kansas City. Some of them warranted, some of them not, but I'm not going to blame the officials. I'm not a Michigan fan blaming the Ohio State, Michigan JT Barrett referees. But Lon, when you look at Mahomes and the Chiefs, I think clearly they've been the best team in the NFL over the last couple of years. To go in that game as a small favorite and to be so bad, it was so surprising to me. Now, Mahomes is going to be in a lot more Super Bowls, I believe. I mean, Brady's been to 10. You would think Mahomes gets to hopefully at least 5 in his career, maybe more. He's the $500 million man. But I was just stunned with how bad the Chiefs were, like, for the entire game.
Well, you're right about the coordinator situation. I mean, Todd Bowles, would have been nice to see some of that when he was coaching the Jets. But nevertheless, the defense was impeccable. The offensive line for the Kansas City Chiefs, you have Mahomes' turf toe. You have them just not being able to really get anything going in that game, which is really interesting when you look at the Chiefs offense. All year, they had no problem doing this. Picked a bad time to have a bad game, that's for sure.
Yeah, it's just a frustrating thing because, I mean, I'm not that – I didn't have that much money on it. It wasn't like I liked it as much as I did last year against San Francisco. But, I hate being wrong, and I hate seeing a bad game. We've been so lucky. I mean, you and I are around the same age. We're both in our early 20s. We grew up with some really bad Super Bowls, Broncos – Niners, Redskins, Bills, like some of those games were just terrible. And we've had for the better part of 20 years, 13, 14, 15 really good Super Bowls. So in this era of parity, I'm not going to be greedy about it, but you thought Brady, Mahomes 6 years old when Brady wins his first Super Bowl, the best quarterback ever against this transcendent young player. You thought it was going to be an epic game. And, I never would have gone and seen a movie during the Super Bowl. But you did the right thing. You didn't miss anything. I mean, you missed the weekend's great halftime performance, and everyone was panning. Not everyone. People just got to understand that being a hater isn't good for your soul. The weekend was fantastic. He was great. He's an amazing talent. So stop hating on the weekend. Someone called it weak, like WEAK, and like weekend, real funny. He was great, but you didn't miss out on much, Lon. How was the Croods 5, by the way?
Croods 5 was great. Obviously in our household, we're not big Brady fans. And so my kids and wife got extremely excited when he won the NFC Championship game because they knew right away we were not going to be watching the Super Bowl. And I don't want to take anything away from Tampa Bay, and I don't want to make excuses for Kansas City either. But when you talk about all week, we started hearing things, and these little things are really could be really detrimental. All of a sudden, the morning of the Super Bowl, we hear that Patrick Mahomes is going to have surgery on the turf toe after the season. So obviously that's not a good thing. The offensive line situation, that was bad. But I think also the Britt Reed situation is something I think people are really overlooking.
Yeah, well, and you're absolutely right on this. Let me tell you where I was at. A lot of people ask me, well, is that going to affect the game call and the game flow and the way Andy Reid calls plays? Listen, it's a terrible situation if people aren't aware of it. I mean, I would think they know by now, but maybe there's some fringe football fans that aren't as aware. I mean, his son, who's the linebackers coach, got in a terrible accident, under investigation for a possible DUI. He's already had issues with that in the past. Andy Reid's already lost his son to drugs. Yeah. And Andy Reid even talked about it. He's such a great guy, so forthcoming after the game that he said, I'd be lying if I told you that my heart wasn't on my sleeve and I wasn't emotional. But these guys he's been in the game for decades. I don't think that incident was terrible, but affecting his ability to game plan when you're in that moment. People kept asking me, what do you think? I think it's all about taking the Bucs now because Andy Reid's going to be calling bad plays. I'm like, Andy Reid won't be calling bad plays because his son is in this terrible situation. He'll be calling bad plays because he calls bad plays. These guys are locked in. They're working 24 hours a day, basically, 7 days a week, especially when you're getting to the Super Bowl. So I never thought, but to your point, there's definitely something there that can hang over a team. Lawton, you and I have been around athletes at all levels. We've called games play-by-play. We've covered teams. It is a family affair. It is emotional. You see your teammates sometimes more than your family, especially in a sport like baseball. But football during the season, it's similar to that too, because you're in practice and you're looking at film and all that kind of stuff. But I don't think that is why the Chiefs were bad. I think the Chiefs were bad for a few reasons. One, I think that their offensive line was a much bigger deal with the injuries than I thought it was going to be. And Mahomes, as fast as he is, could not get the ball out. And the Bucs D line as I mentioned, Todd Bowles, and you echoed my sentiments. That game plan was masterful. 2, Mahomes wasn't as good as he normally is. And 3, the Bucs didn't turn the ball over once. The one time Brady threw a pick that would have totally changed momentum, there was a flag on the Chiefs. And I'm not going to blame the refs either, but there were some very questionable calls.
Yes,
it changed massive momentum early in the game in the first half. If a couple of different calls, like on that one drive, there were like 3 drive continuing calls on third downs where either they would have gotten the Bucs off the field or they would have prevented a score, and they ended up scoring a touchdown, back-to-back Gronk touchdowns. Gronk smash. But once again, not taking anything away from Tampa Bay. Sure. I just think the Chiefs were a shell of who they are. If they had played even regular Kansas City Chiefs football, that would have at least been a game. It wasn't even a game. It was like a scrimmage. It was terrible.
Well, listen, when you go back and look at the box score, and I challenge anybody on this call that's viewing right now to go do this. If you look at the box score, pretty even game. One glaring statistic, and that was the penalties. And sometimes it's not always about the amount of yardage.
It wasn't even close.
Yeah, it's about what happens and when the call happens. And for example, I mean, I know they've been talking about this all week with Tyrann Mathieu and Tom Brady. Again, I didn't watch the game, but when I heard that he got a flag and Brady didn't for running him down, I mean, sometimes you look at some of this stuff and you go, these are bigger deals at the time than they really are to most people. And I'm sure Tampa Bay fans could care less, you know what I mean? But I don't have a rooting interest for either team. So when I go back and look at things like that, you just hope that the fairness is all there, and you don't want to leave any doubt, because obviously a lot of people shared my sentiment. You looked at the ratings. I mean, lowest rated Super Bowl for households since Super Bowl III, and the lowest overall if you counted all of the streaming platforms and whatnot since 2006. So maybe it's just not me, but maybe there are some people that are getting a little tired of not only the NFL, but kind of this whole Brady gets to the Super Bowl.
I think, listen, I think that that's a lot to do with what's going on. I mean, in COVID, we've seen ratings down and everything as people are looking at things differently, but also you mentioned streaming. There are so many more ways to watch big games now that it's pulling away from ratings. So I think there's, part to do with both. By the way, I love our friend Dave Carroll. Before I get to Dave's comment, my dad, the doc, he always, I tell him whenever I have shows on, when I have different guests, I'll watch it. And he never watched. He always forgets. Or he's like, I'm too tired. He is actually watching tonight. The doc's watch. But Dave saying he called that Brett Reed was a major factor. Once again, I'm not saying it didn't do anything, but I still don't believe that the Brett Reed factor was why the Chiefs played bad. I think the Chiefs played bad because Mahomes wasn't himself. The Bucs defensive plan was fantastic. And it was just one of those things where that offensive line issue with no Eric Fisher and these kind of journeyman ragtag bunch of veteran and good offensive linemen, but all at the move positions, they could not protect Mahomes. And that D-line for the Bucs was on it from the first play of the defensive, snaps for the Bucs. So I'm not trying to poo-poo Dave's point there, and you brought it up, as well. I do not think Brett Reed was a factor. I do not think that's why the Chiefs played badly.
Again, and not taking nothing away from Tampa Bay, reasons, not excuses, right? So a lot of these things can factor in sometimes, and it's just, they're just not focused. You know what I mean? And I mean, for the Chiefs not to score a touchdown, that's incredible. That
would be like LeBron James, your boy. If people don't know, Lawton is a Lakers sycophant like Dave Rieger, who, by the way, was supposed to be on the show, but is getting a haircut, so he's banned for several months. It would be like LeBron James in a game 7 scoring 2 points.
Yeah,
that's not happening.
Liking it to like Steph Curry not making a 3 in a game.
Sure. But I mean, I wonder what the odds were. I never looked it up. Yeah. I bet you to take the Chiefs to not score a single touchdown would have been something like 40 to 70 to 1, something like that. I mean, I don't think the Chiefs hadn't scored a touchdown in a game since Mahomes has been a quarterback for them. Yeah. Something like that. I don't know for sure, but I'm pretty sure they have scored at least 1 touchdown in every game that Mahomes has started. I mean, they're one of the highest scoring teams in NFL history. So just a terrible way to end a crazy year. But it still is. Just kudos to Tom Brady, 43 years old, 7 Super Bowls. There's never going to be another person that gets 7 as far as a quarterback goes. There's never going to be another quarterback or player that ever goes to 10. And Brady ain't done. And I'm going to throw up. I want to throw up the futures lines in just a second here. And then, as we mentioned, it's our Super Bowl hangover show, and we want to hear from you on the comments as well. What you're going to do to kind of fill the time. I mean, we all love sports, and there's basketball and hockey and baseball and all that other stuff coming up, including FCS football in the spring. If people have forgotten, the old Division I AA is going to be playing in the spring, so we will have some football. But what you're going to do to fill the time till next football season. Before we do that, though, I want to hear from our great friends. They're a great sponsor because I'm a screwball. Our friends at Screwball.
Screwball Peanut Butter Whiskey. A refreshingly unique taste on the world's most classic spirit. It goes down smooth with a perfectly blended finish. Anything but ordinary, and always lives up to the name. Sure, it sips a little different, and that's just who we are. Peanut butter. Screwball Whiskey, the original peanut butter whiskey.
Lon, I know you're a big peanut butter guy. I got a case coming for you. How long do you think that case of Screwball? Because you got to drink for me. I don't drink anymore. How long will that case last? Weeks?
I think it'll last quite some time. I got to be honest. I've had Screwball. It's really good, but it's great in small doses. You know, you get to doing a bunch of shots with your friends. It could give you a headache pretty much all day.
Well,
and I mean, great transition to talk about the Super Bowl hangover, right?
Yeah, and all I'm doing these days is fruit punch, Kool-Aid, 0-calorie water sweetener.
This will keep you.
That's all I need. That's why I've lost. That's why I've lost all the weight. Well, and speaking of that, let's throw up these lines here, and this is okay. My man Seal is my best handicapper friend. He's been doing it for decades, and he's won millions of dollars. And he always gives you good advice. And he's told me and all of his people, bet the Super Bowl line when it first comes out. And if people didn't know this year it was even. It was a pick 'em. Now, this year, it would have been better to wait, take the Bucs plus the 3, but I really thought the Chiefs were going to win. So that would have been a great play. But you also want to look at betting futures odds now because you're going to get some teams that are obviously going to go up and down based on what happens in the draft and then trades. And, like, for example, the Colts, they're 25-1. Who knows who their quarterback's going to be? So this is a good time to look at some of these odds for Super Bowl 56. Chiefs the favorite, 6-1. Packers 9-1. I still don't buy the Packers. Bucks, they're right around, anywhere between 7 to 10-1 based on the sportsbooks. So they're basically the favorite along with the Chiefs and Packers. But then you look at a team like Baltimore and Buffalo and the Rams with Stafford 12-1. Niners will be back with Garoppolo. They're 16-1. We don't know what's going on with Drew Brees. I'm guessing he's going to come back. Who knows? Maybe it's over, but they're right now at the time being 18-1. Then you look at teams like Cleveland at 25-1 or your Finns at 25-1. This is where you can jump on a futures bet. And you might see Miami go from 25-1 to 17-1. You might see the Chargers go from, 30-1 to 19-1. You might see a team like, Tampa go, let's say, Brady gets hurt or something. They might go from 10-1 to 30-1. Who knows? So you're going to have teams go both directions, but you can get some value on some of those teams whose odds are going to go down, meaning like from 20-1 to 15-1 or worse than that. What do you, when you look at these early Super Bowl odds, is there anything that jumps out to you?
Well, I mean, I'm picking Tampa Bay next year, especially if they are able to keep everybody. Let's be honest. I mean,
I thought you were a Brady hater.
I'm always going to be a Brady hater. I'm not rooting for them. This is just in consideration of betting. So if you want the safe bet for the NFC, I mean, Tampa Bay for next year. But I would also look at the Los Angeles Rams with our boy Matt Stafford. And if somehow, some way, Russell Wilson, what is that, 22-1 for the Seattle Seahawks? That's attractive to me too. But then again, you got to look at all those great quarterbacks in the NFC, including Brady. You've got a lot that he's going to have to go against, and that NFC West is going to beat themselves up. There's a lot of great quarterbacks in that division.
I would absolutely hammer the Buffalo Bills right now at 12-1. I believe they're not going to get any better than that as far as odds go. I think if they were really close this year, of course, Kansas City still was the better team. But you look at Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs and McDermott, the way he coaches those guys, the defense, I think the Bills are going to win a title in the next couple of years. And maybe with the Chiefs, I mean, getting back to 3 Super Bowls is so tough. I mean, getting back to 2 is tough. Normally for years long, us growing up, we had that Super Bowl hangover, trend where a team normally that went to the Super Bowl the year before and lost wouldn't even make the playoffs. So it's different now with this era of parity, but I would hammer the Buffalo Bills. You put $500 on them, you win. What is that? $6,000. I just feel like it's a great play. I don't think that you're going to get any better there.
Yeah, I like the Bills too. I will say the Steelers are attractive at 30-1 too, because look, they looked like they just ran out of gas and their defense couldn't take it. Browns jumped out on them big in that playoff game to eliminate them. If they can tighten up some things on the defense, I mean, their offense is solid. I think they'll have a really good chance. 30-1. I mean, you can jump, like you said, you jump on these early to make money. So,
well, before we get out of here, and Lon, it's always an honor to be with you because you're a very emotional citizen and one of the great people I ever know. And your pipe and drape looks quite amazing. If people don't know what that means, because I don't know what that meant either. That is Lawton's curtain. It's got some piping. It's got some draping. He's got a new microphone, a new camera. He looks amazing. He got rid of what was the thing we had earlier? The what was it called again? Where it looked like an old TV.
Also, I have an O-ring. You talking about the light ring? The light?
No. When we were getting that weird fuzziness on your screen, what was that?
Oh yeah. Had to change the frame rate. Yeah. We're learning as we go here, man. You know. What I mean?
But it looks great. You look amazing. But what is it that gets you through? I mean, you and I mean, you're a big Lakers guy. You love basketball. I do too. I mean, I want the Wolverines to win the national title. Hopefully when they get back from this pause on Saturday or Sunday against Wisconsin, they keep things going. I don't think it's going to really affect them that much. I mean, they've been practicing and trying to stay loose, and they're number 3 in the country. So I'm not that worried about the way that they're going to play after the 2-week pause, which was for obviously COVID safety. We got things to look forward to, and baseball's coming up, and I mentioned FCS football, but there's nothing like the NFL. There's nothing like college football. We love it for that 4.5 or whatever month period from August to, February. And now it's gone until, the draft's in April, and that's always fun, but we're not going to see any live. If we have the preseason, that'll be August. And then of course the NFL season starts in September. What do you do for, as we mentioned, the Super Bowl hangover? What do you do to get you through? Because I miss it. I'm already sad.
Basketball, and more basketball. This is like my favorite time of the year because you get to go into the conference championships in March Madness, and then unbundling out of March Madness. Normally you'd have the playoffs that kind of end in June, but they're going to stretch out the whole summer this year. So that's going to be cool. On top of that, you got baseball, of course, tennis. You got Wimbledon in the middle of the summer.
Oh, I've been all over the Australian Open, by the way. I took Djokovic last night at 7 a.m. Yeah. He was almost 2-1 against my man Taylor Fritz, the young American, and Djokovic couldn't move. And I took him. I've never seen Djokovic. He was up 2-1 in sets. Yeah. He was up 2-1, and he was still a 2-1 underdog. And I hammered him. He came back and won. And unfortunately, I lost on I had Kyrgios, so I took him live against Dominic Thiem. He was up 2-love, and then lost in 5. But the atmosphere, the fans are gone now. They shut down Victoria, the province where Melbourne is, because of a COVID scare. But it was probably the most enthralling I've seen sports be with fans since the shutdown. And I know we've had fans at football games here and there, and basketball here and there, and nothing like the Australian. It was only like 8,000 fans in some of the matches. It was just the Kyrgios matches were incredible, great for Australia. And you're right, there are things to do. By the way, before I tell you what gets me through, I got to see where you're at with this. We'll throw up your Laker whizzes. Are you going to throw down some money on 2.5-1? I think the Nets are going to win the title. I really do. I think it's so tough to repeat these days, but you guys are the favorite for a reason. I also picked the Clippers before the season, and people thought I was nuts, and now they're the third favorite. I think any of those 4 teams has a great chance. Would you throw any money down on the Lakers just getting 250? 100 gets 250 back. And by the way, if you're here in Michigan where Lawton and I are, it's legal to bet.
Yeah. Honestly, I haven't seen anything that from the Brooklyn Nets, other than the fact that they've got 3 superstars that can't figure it out yet. Nothing about them yet. Now they got time has said to me that they are going to even be a threat. I'm more nervous about a team like the Philadelphia 76ers. They're loaded. A lot of people are missing out. You got Seth Curry.
12-1. Take him at 12-1.
Yeah, 12-1. To me, that's a better bet. Seth Curry leads the league in 3-point field goal percentage. I'm sure his brother's real happy about that. Joel Embiid is playing at an MVP level. So the 76ers are the team that really kind of freak me out as a Laker fan. Brooklyn kind of is all sizzle, no steak just yet, but they are fun to watch. And, the Clippers, I'm telling you, they'll find a way to become the Clippers. So not too worried there. But yeah, they look a lot like the Miami Heat. I see that. I don't know if that's a good bet. They looked great in the bubble.
They're not going back. They're not going back.
Yeah, they just haven't looked good. So the Nuggets, I feel like they play great every night, but they lose by 1 or 2 points. There's just so many of those teams where I just feel like they can't get it together. The Utah Jazz is another great pick. I don't think they would make it to the finals. I don't think they would beat the Lakers in a 7-game series, but they're the most serious threat in the West right now. So I think Utah, Philly. How about
my Pistons? How about my Pistons at 501? I mean, you throw some cash on those guys.
Well, the Pistons only seem to play good against the Los Angeles Lakers and any other of the top 5 upper echelon teams. A very bizarre thing, but I think they got a lot of young legs. They're
the future's bright.
Back-to-backs, but they do have a bright future. I like what Troy's doing there as the GM. He's
the Dreamweaver.
Well, originally from Oklahoma City, right? From formerly Oklahoma City Thunder.
Troy Dreamweaver is what I call him.
Yeah, I think what he's doing is great. My guess, they'll probably buy out Blake Griffin at the beginning of next season and end that, and then kind of figure it out from there. Jeremy Grant was a huge steal for them, and he has played like an absolute stud since acquiring him. So far so good. Got to get a couple other pieces, but I like how they've been moving things around, developing the young guys.
Good stuff there, by the way. As we mentioned, betting legal in Michigan, and if you're looking to get involved in the action, good friends at PointsBet. It's on my Twitter at DailyShiny71. Just follow the link, and you put in 50, you get a free $100 bet. Yeah. They have so many cool, like tomorrow you could bet whatever NBA team you want, pays a Paige Spiranak boost, and if you bet $50 on whatever NBA team you want, you get $3 for every 3-pointer they hit. And they also have they have all these great like free money things where you basically can't lose. So check those out. It's on my Twitter. Follow the instructions. You put $50 and you get a free $100. So not much better than that. For me, Lon, by the way, to get through these, I don't want to call them doldrums, but there's nothing like football. You mentioned it. There's tennis. The weather's going to get better. March Madness is going to be sick. I'm going to do some traveling. Me and you are going to have a lot of pipe and drape parties and haircut parties and bongs and blitzes and, smoking a pancake. We have a lot of different things to do. But I think spending time with people like you, doing these shows, trying to put love back into the world. I know it sounds cheesy, but it's true. That's what gets me through, because the reason that football is so special is because it is for only a short period of time. It's not like baseball that lasts forever, or the NBA and NHL in a regular year lasts forever. And football, you just be grateful when it's there, because we miss it when it's gone. And I remember last year, Lon, even though COVID felt like it took forever, it seemed like football really came quick. And I feel like it's going to be the same this year, because things are going to get better and open up more. We're going to have more people with the vaccine. And before you know it, it'll be summer, and then it'll be August and preseason, or at least training camp, and we'll be back to football. And we'll be talking your silly Spartans under the Mel Tucker show, my Wolverines, we should have extended Jim Harbaugh, and, of course, your Finns with Tua, who is a massive question mark, but we'll see. And my Lions with new Bite Your Kneecap Dan Campbell, and the great Brad Sherlock Holmes, and no Matt Stafford, but Jared Goff. Very interesting. A lot of storylines next year for football, Lon.
Oh, yeah. And this offseason is going to, just think about the storylines from the quarterback position. I mean, you got Carson Wentz that might end up somewhere else outside of Philly. You've got Deshaun Watson situation. You've got Russell Wilson now kind of having an attitude in the media about what's going on there in Seattle. So a lot of movement expected in this offseason. You got the draft coming up. So there will be definitely enough to fill the time and enough football just to kind of hold you over until the fall.
Sick. All right, parting shots coming right up. Let's hear from our friends at Screwball first.
Screwball Peanut Butter Whiskey. A refreshingly unique taste on the world's most classic spirit.
All right, Lon, parting shots. I got to tell you, you've never looked better. Pipe and drape, bong and a blitz. What do you got for me? What do you got planned for the weekend? I mean, Lon has 7 kids, so he's a very busy man. What do you have coming up? Are you going to be missing any sporting events and seeing movies instead?
So I'm probably going to miss a lot of sporting events. Going to be editing a piece for my show upcoming, and I'm putting on a big virtual event for Comcast in March. And so part of that is a documentary I'm finishing up, which we'll talk more about. Parting shots. I did figure out how to bet and get through the Michigan State basketball season. Because, coming into this year was a lot of questions with no point guard, no big man in the middle. And it's very, very average to below average basketball team this year as we anticipate next season. So here's what I figured out. I just bet on the other team. I just money line the other team with points bet. And either one of two things works out. Me betting against Michigan State works out that Michigan State wins, so I'm happy. Or if Michigan State has a bad game, that's cool. I probably won some money. So I've kind of figured out a nice little scenario there, and it works out. Lots of great money lines for Michigan State going into these next few games. So that's about it for this weekend, working on that piece for that documentary and show. And, just never a dull moment, brother. Never.
It's a smart system, by the way. We do have a bit of breaking news. Michigan State sucks. By the way, you're way better than Jeff Rieger. Jeff Rieger, maybe the worst bettor I've ever known. He'll bet on Michigan State, and whenever he does, they'll lose. And he'll bet against them, and whenever he does, that team will win.
He's just got to do the opposite. I figured it out. It works for me every time.
State, they lose. If he bets against State, they win. It's like without fail. It's like the sun coming up, or me not going to bed before 5 a.m. It's just non-stop losing. I try to help him. He won't listen. He wants to do it on his own. But hey, like you said, points bet. I know you. I referred you to them. They're great. We're talking with them about being a full-time sponsor of the task force. I mean, I love DraftKings too and FanDuel. We have such great abilities to have some fun. I mean, obviously do it responsibly, but so much free money out there, so many props, and you can parlay. I was telling my dad earlier, he's like, you could parlay tennis and basketball. Like, you parlay whatever you want. And there's odds boosts, and I could parlay like who's gonna make for breakfast.
I do like the odds boost. I'm a parlay guy too. I've been getting real close lately. I've been being a little crazy with 4 and 5 teams to try to win some money, but I like the way that you can get those boosts through points bet. I like some of their little prop bets during the week, and obviously free advertisement for them. It's just, I feel like it's the most user-friendly one that I've used so far. So,
all right, before we go, you mentioned the great Hey That's Easy show coming up February 16th. Take a look at this. First off, incredible. Lon put that together all by himself. He's an amazing. Yeah, it's all the stuff that I need help with. Incredible. That was a brilliant job. Who doesn't want to watch that show? Let everyone know when it's going to be. I know there's a certain someone behind the technical directing of that show. I don't know who that guy is. But when is Hey That Easy? How can they watch it? You're doing a great job. You and Ava are doing a hell of a job with that. I'm grateful to be involved behind the scenes and occasionally on the show as well. But it really is. You're doing an amazing job.
So, Hey, That's Easy. It's a variety show. It's literally a show about everything. The February show is February 16th at 7, streaming live on our Facebook page. You can search Hey, That's Easy. And you can also go to YouTube and subscribe to our Hey, That's Easy channel. This month's show is called Entrepreneurs Loving What They Do. So what we've done is reached out throughout the country. We've got a bunch of folks that run a small business. They're going to come on the show. They're going to talk about some of their successes, how they've navigated through the pandemic, and how they've been able to come out on the other side and hopefully have avoided the worst of what we had last year. So it's obviously a really entertaining show. Ava Anvari, my partner in crime, and of course we have one of the best technical and directors in the land, and Dan Leach. Unfortunately, we don't have Dan worked into this show other than working behind the scenes, but in March, he'll certainly appear for.
It's going to be a weird thing for me not being part of a show. I don't mind. I might pop in every now and then. But no, you're doing a great job. Subscribe to the Hey That's Easy Facebook page, and it'll be on all these platforms: Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch, and all the streaming platforms we use for the task force. All right, Lawton, great job by you. For me, I'm going to tell you to wash your hands, spread love, not hate, wear a mask, believe in each other. If you put a little love into the world, you get a lot back. And I got a free play for you tonight for all you sickos. Parlay PJ Washington over 11.5 points and Colin Sexton over 23.5 points. He had a rough game last time. He's averaging 22 a game. The Cavs are playing a terrible defense tonight. So there's your free parlay. Enjoy the weekend. Don't forget, go to points. My Twitter, if you want, DailyChinese71. Follow the link. Put in $50 of points back. Get $100 for free. Plus, they have boosts that are basically free money all week long. And I mentioned that Paige Spearneck boost tomorrow. You bet on any NBA team, and whatever NBA team you bet on, you still can win that bet. But you get $3 for every 3-pointer. What if they had 23 pointers? That's $60.
It's a good deal.
Sick. All right, Lawton, thanks so much to you. Always an honor, my friend. For the great Lawton Luntz, for the non-existent Dave Rieger, who blew it and is banned from the show for at least several months.
We'll get him
I'm
back.
Dan Leach, the Squatch. Be kind to each other. We love you. We'll see you next time. But football's gone for now, but we'll keep you entertained for months. Until next time, believe in the dream.